I chose to research technology in the classroom with a focus on teachers' use of best practices for integrating technology. The reason I chose this topic is because my school will be one-to-one with iPads this year, and I'm interested in learning what would be considered best practice so that I might gain some insight into how I will incorporate the iPads into my lesson design. My research method consisted of a literature review and a survey of my classmates regarding technology use in their classrooms. There were 14 participants altogether. Through the survey, I inquired about teacher experience in education, how many years they have been teaching, um, when they acquired their first teaching degree, what grade level they taught, and how adequate they felt about their technology training. I then questioned them about student use of technology in their classrooms and how important they felt it was, how often students actually use technology, and what programs students use. The results? Over 92% of the teachers who participated in this research agreed that the use of technology in the classroom was very important. And 100% of the teachers indicated their students utilize technology in their classroom at least 2 to 3 times per week. Almost 75% of the teachers polled felt they had received adequate training when it came to using technology in the classroom, which did not surprise me considering that 13 out of the 14 participants had received their teaching degrees within the past 11 years and had been teaching for 10 or fewer years. I earned my bachelor's in teaching secondary science 14 years ago, and at that time, there was not a major emphasis on the use of technology in the classroom. This push has been something that has really started to become more evident in the past 10 years and has since started to become a large part of pre-service teacher training in post-secondary institutions. The conclusion: are teachers using best practices when it comes to integrating technology into the classroom? This question has more facets than I realized when I began my research and has led me to more questions such as what determines best practices? Is it student achievement? Is it student engagement? How would you measure student engagement? Are best practices the same in all content areas? The same for all grade levels? The same for every student? To answer these questions would require a more in-depth look and more detailed approach to gathering information than the survey instrument that I used. I polled teachers as to whether or not their students made use of technology in the classroom and gathered some feedback on the programs they employed, but I did not gain any valuable insight as to how technology was really used or the impact that technology had on student learning. So, who is to say the participants in my research were using best practices? Even with the literary research I conducted, which will be shared some in my presentation, I still have no clear picture of whether or not the teachers I surveyed are using best practices. Each article highlights different ideas of what best practice is, and we all know that education is not a one size fits all business. Zena Alaswad, author of Designing for Game-Based Learning, The Effective Integration of Technology to Support Learning, believes that best practice involves the use of technology to design learning experiences that reflect game attributes such as leaderboards and badges. Devin Adams, author of Gaga for Google in the 21st Century Advanced Placement Language Classroom, is an advocate for the use of Google applications. I feel that interviews would have given a much broader understanding of the role technology plays in the learning process. Teachers can have students use technology every day. How the technology used is what has the greatest impact on learning. Every student in my class will have their own iPad this school year, And if all I ever have them do is find the answers to questions on Google, then have I used best practice, or have I just had students use iPads much the same way we would use a dictionary or an encyclopedia? Please watch as I've summarized my conclusion in a short animation. Teachers can have students use technology every day, but how that technology is used is what has the greatest impact on learning. So, what determines best practices? Is it student engagement or student achievement? It's actually subjective. Limitations. I feel that the biggest limiting factors of my study were the lack of a concrete definition for best practice with regards to technology integration and my method of data collection. Interviews would have given a more precise view of how technology was used in the classroom and the impact it had on student learning. I also feel that my research question was weak and that it led to so many more questions. What constitutes best practice is subjective. There are too many dependent variables that can influence what best practice really is. My recommendation, my greatest recommendation for integrating technology into the classroom comes from Borsham, Merritt, and Reed, who alluded to the fact that teaching should be adapted to the impact of technology, not the other way around. During my undergraduate studies, I remember constantly being reminded that teachers must be flexible, and in the ever-changing face of technology, this statement could not be truer. Here are the references from my literature review. And my textbook was an additional resource for this mini research project. Thank you very much.